There is a heart tonight that lies awake in the quiet, eyes open to the dim ceiling above, mind replaying moments from the day that refused to settle, words that felt unfinished, needs that felt unanswered, burden after burden stacked gently but heavily upon the soul. Others may see a calm face in the daylight, but here, in this still and secret hour, the heart feels the weight of everything left unspoken. Somewhere inside, there is a longing to whisper it all to God, to finally let the worries spill out like water from an overfilled cup, to feel once more that prayer is not a small thing, not a thin sound lost in the air, but something strong, something heard, something that truly moves heaven and touches earth. Yet the heart hesitates. One more night of carrying it alone seems easier than reaching out again, easier than believing that prayer still holds power. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the air enter gently through the nose, filling the chest like soft light. Hold it for a quiet moment. Then let it fall out slowly through the mouth, as if exhaling a long sigh you have been holding all day. Let the shoulders drop a little. Let the muscles along the neck soften. Let the space between your eyes relax. Another slow breath, in and out, like waves moving toward the shore and slipping back into the deep. If these stories bring you peace, take a moment to like this video, subscribe for more nightly reflections, and share where you're listening from tonight. Your words and presence help keep this space warm and growing. Now, take another slow breath. Let's begin. The room around the listener rests in gentle dimness. A small lamp casts a soft pool of golden light across the blankets, the pillow, the quiet floor. Shadows stretch long and tender along the walls, but they do not feel sharp or frightening. They feel like curtains drawn gently around a sanctuary. Outside, the sounds of the day have faded. Far off, a car hums past. A door closes. Footsteps grow faint in a hallway. Then even those fall away. What remains is the soft rhythm of breath, and the quiet thrum of a heart that longs to be heard. Beyond the room, in the mind's eye, a new scene begins to form. A small village settles beneath a velvet sky. The last color of evening has melted into deep blue. Stars are beginning to appear like tiny lamps hung across the heavens. Stone paths wind between low houses, their walls washed with the glow of oil lamps resting in narrow windows. Most of the village has gone to rest, but on the edge of the square, a single house still flickers with steady light. Along the path walks a solitary figure, shoulders a little curved from the quiet strain of the day, hands held close to the body as if carrying something unseen. This traveler knows the stories of God, has heard that prayer can change what the eyes cannot see, has been told that when a heart walks in a right and honest way before the Lord, even its smallest prayer carries great power. Yet tonight, the traveler feels small, worn, unsure if their simple voice could truly matter in the vastness of the night. The traveler pauses at a fountain in the village square. Water whispers softly over stone, catching the faint starlight as it falls. The sound is gentle, constant, unhurried, like a picture of prayer itself. Flowing, steady, not loud, yet shaping the stone beneath it with quiet persistence. The traveler listens, feels the ache in the chest rise again, remembers the needs waiting at home, the faces that look to them with hope, remembers the weight of their own hidden sorrow, the questions that never found words. Somewhere deep inside, a scripture learned long ago begins to stir. A promise about prayer, about the kind of prayer that is born from a heart turned toward God, a heart that chooses what is right, even when it is difficult, a heart that leans into honesty, into confession, into truth. The words rise like a faint echo in the soul, the prayer of one who walks in the ways of God, has great power, power to heal, power to restore, power to touch what human effort cannot reach. In the quiet bedroom, the listener feels this echo too. The memory of times when a simple prayer brought unexpected peace. Times when strength seemed to arrive from nowhere. When a door opened that should have stayed shut. When comfort brushed across a breaking heart as softly as a hand across a tear-stained cheek. Prayer has been a bridge before. Perhaps it can be again. Take another slow breath. Let the inhale rise gently through the ribs. Let the exhale fall long and loose, carrying with it some of the heaviness resting in the chest. Allow the jaw to loosen. Allow the tongue to rest softly in the mouth. Allow the hands to uncurl where they lie. Feel the body grow a little heavier against the bed. Feel the heart grow just a little more willing to be open. Back in the village, the traveler turns from the fountain and walks toward the house whose lamp is still burning. It is a simple place. Stone walls. A wooden door slightly ajar. Through the opening spills a quiet glow. Inside, this house has become a place of prayer. Not loud prayer. Not proud or polished words. But tender ones. True ones. Spoken by those who trust that God bends low to listen when hearts come honestly before Him. The traveler steps to the doorway. Pauses beneath the beam. A breath catches quietly in the throat. This is the threshold between carrying everything alone and letting it be shared. Between silent burden and spoken prayer. Between the idea that nothing can change and the trust that God still moves with power in response to even the softest cry. The lamp within the house burns steadily. Its flame sways slightly as if aware of the one standing at the door. The room beyond is small. A simple mat. A low table. A clay jar resting near the wall. But there is a sense of holiness there. Of a space where heaven and earth draw close. Where unseen things shift when a heart opens before its maker. In the quiet of the listener's room, the invitation feels the same. The threshold is not a wooden doorway. It is this moment, this breath, this choice to let the heart whisper its truth to God instead of holding it alone. Prayer does not have to be loud to be strong. It does not have to be perfect to be powerful. It only has to be honest, offered from a heart that leans toward what is right, even in its weakness. A heart that says, I cannot carry this by myself any longer. Take one more slow deep breath. Let the inhale fill the lungs like gentle light. Let the exhale release the tightness behind the heart. Let the whole body sink a little deeper into the bed. Rest in the thought that every simple prayer offered in trust, no matter how small, is seen, is heard, is held by God with great tenderness. The traveler places a hand on the wooden frame, steps quietly across the threshold, and with that step, the journey from silent burden to living prayer truly begins. The traveler steps quietly into the lamplit room. The wooden door settles gently behind them, not closing fully, just resting, inviting them to stay, inviting them to breathe, inviting them to let the heart soften in a place made for prayer. Inside, the room is simple. A woven mat on the floor, a clay lamp flickering softly near the wall, a small window open just enough to let in the night air, carrying the faint scent of rosemary and dust from the village path. This is not a grand temple, not a place of crowds or ritual sounds, only a quiet sanctuary where burdens are welcomed, where the weary come without needing to pretend they are strong, where truth can finally rise without fear. The traveler pauses near the center of the room, hands still holding the invisible weight that has followed them through the evening. The warmth of the lamp paints gentle shapes across their face, highlighting the tired eyes, the small tremor of the jaw, the soft rise of a breath trying to steady itself. This is a heart ready to speak, even if the words have not yet formed. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the inhale rise through the body like warm light pouring into a darkened hallway. Let the exhale fall slowly, releasing tension from the shoulders. Let the breath guide the soul towards stillness. Another slow breath, deep, unhurried. The traveler lowers themselves onto the woven mat. The floor feels cool beneath them, the air gentle on the skin. The lamp's glow soft enough not to overwhelm, just enough to remind them they are not sitting alone in the dark. For a moment, the traveler simply sits, hands resting gently in the lap, breath moving softly, heart waiting for courage to rise. Outside, the night drapes itself over the village like a quiet blanket. Crickets hum softly in nearby fields. A distant door closes. The wind carries the faint sound of water moving through the fountain stones. Everything slows. Everything quiets around the traveler, as though the world itself is making room for the prayer about to form. In the quiet bedroom, The listener feels the same soft pause. The breath lengthens. The body grows heavier against the bed. The heart steadies into a quieter rhythm. This is the hush before prayer. The stillness where truth begins to rise within. Not pushed. Not forced. Just gently called forth by Goddess presence. Another slow breath. Let it pour through the chest. Let it open a little more space inside the heart. Let it soften the tight places where worry has been hiding. Back in the village. The traveler closes their eyes. A single thought rises first. Small. Soft. Barely more than a whisper in the mind. Help me. It is not eloquent. Not polished. But it is honest. It is the beginning of prayer. A simple cry rising from a soul too tired to say anything more. The words linger without sound. They form quietly in the heart. Warm tears gather behind the traveler's closed eyes. Not falling yet. Just resting. Waiting for the moment the soul lets go. The traveler lifts their face slightly. Not high. Just enough to lean into the quiet. To lean into God's nearness. To let the heart begin to speak what it has carried alone for far too long. Prayer begins this way sometimes. Not with sentences. But with longing. With a tremble in the breath. With the soft ache of being human and needing help. In the listener's room. The same tender ache may rise. That familiar feeling of needing God more than words can express. The quiet recognition that something inside longs to be carried. Longs to be heard. Longs to be released into hands far kinder than one's own. Another slow breath. Let the inhale draw courage inward. Let the exhale carry a little more heaviness away. Let the breath prepare the heart for the prayer that is forming. The traveler finally whispers a quiet sound. Not a full sentence. Just a breath shaped by desperate hope. God. The moment the name forms in the traveler's heart. The air in the room seems to shift. Not dramatically, but gently. As though heaven has leaned closer. As though the walls themselves hold their breath. As though the lamp's flame steadies to listen. It is the beginning of something powerful. Something tender. Something holy. A heart opening itself to God. A prayer ready to rise. The traveler remains seated on the woven mat. Hands resting gently upon their lap. Eyes closed as a soft tremble of breath moves through the chest. The single whispered name, God, still lingers in the room like a warm echo. Not fading. Not drifting away. But settling into the air. Into the heart. Into a space that now feels touched by something sacred. The lamp flame sways lightly. Its glow deepening into tender gold. Casting long, gentle shadows across the quiet floor. The night outside grows even more still. As if creation itself has leaned in to listen. To hold this moment with reverence. to honor the soft beginning of a prayer rising from a weary soul. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the inhale rise through the ribs like a quiet wave of light. Let the exhale fall slower, releasing the tension held behind the heart. Feel the body soften. Feel the breath deepen. Feel the soul settle into openness. Another slow breath. Deeper. Calmer. The traveler bows their head slightly. Not in shame. Not in burden. But in gentle honesty. A posture that says, I am here. And I need you. Thoughts begin to stir within the traveler's heart. Not rushed. Not tangled. But unfolding slowly like petals opening in the evening cool. A memory rises first, a moment earlier in the day when strength felt too thin. When discouragement settled like dust on the chest. When fear whispered about what tomorrow might bring. That memory brings with it the first true whisper of prayer. Soft. Trembling. Earnest. I am struggling. The words form not on the traveler's lips but deep inside. A confession. A truth laid bare. A quiet offering from the innermost place of the soul. The lamp flame steadies as if acknowledging the honesty. The warmth in the room deepens. The air feels thicker, softer, wrapped in presence. Prayer has begun. In the quiet bedroom, the listener feels this same stirring. A gentle ache rising behind the ribs. The kind that appears when truth begins to surface. When the heart starts to admit what it has carried in silence. A soft longing to whisper something honest to God. Perhaps a need. Perhaps a fear that has been held too tightly. Perhaps a hope that feels fragile. Prayer begins in these quiet movements of the heart. Before words, before form, before language. Another slow breath. Let the inhale move through the chest like a soft wind across a still lake. Let the exhale carry a layer of heaviness away. Allow the heart to open gently, naturally, tenderly. Back in the lamplit room. The traveler's breath shakes faintly, just enough to reveal the depth of what is rising. They place a hand over the chest, not to calm themselves, but to steady their courage, to hold the place where the prayer is forming. A quiet whisper escapes their lips, barely audible. I don't know what to do. The confession floats softly into the air. Not a complaint. Not a demand. Just truth. And heaven listens. The traveler's shoulders release a small tension they weren't aware of holding. A tear escapes the corner of the eye, tracing a warm path down the cheek. It falls silently onto the woven mat. A tiny sign of the soul beginning to unburden itself. A sign of prayer deepening. The room seems to breathe with them now. The warmth shifting gently. A tender presence beginning to gather like a soft embrace around the traveler's back and sides. Not touching, but near enough to be felt. Near enough to reassure. Near enough to say without words that their whispered prayer does not rise alone. In the listener's room, the same tender nearness begins to lift within the chest. A warm pressure behind the heart. A feeling of being gently seen, gently understood, even before a single full prayer has been spoken. This is the quiet power of opening the heart to God. He listens to beginnings. He listens to whispers. He listens when words fail. He listens to the breath itself. Another slow breath. Let the inhale pull warmth into the center of the chest. Let the exhale release a deeper layer of strain. Let the heart become soft enough for truth to rise. The traveler whispers again. This time not in confession, but in yearning. Please help me. The words fall into the room like a small seed into soft soil. And something in the air shifts again. A gentle stirring of warmth. A sense of heaven leaning closer. As though the simple honesty of the traveler's prayer carries weight. Carries beauty. Carries power. The flame glows brighter for a heartbeat, then settles again into its steady shine. The warmth in the room deepens. The traveler feels seen, heard, held. This is prayer beginning to rise. Soft, honest, powerful in its simplicity. The traveler stays seated upon the woven mat, hands resting gently against the chest, eyes closed as a quiet trembling breath moves through the body. The simple prayer, "Please help me," still lingers in the air, not fading, not drifting away, but settling into the room like a warm fragrance. A tender offering rising from the depths of a weary heart. The lamp flame glows with steady softness, its light pooling across the clay floor like liquid gold. Shadows stretch long along the walls, gentle, unmoving, as though even the darkness refuses to disturb the sacred quiet forming in this small room. Outside, the village lies deep in sleep. Crickets hum like a soft chorus. The breeze moves through distant olive branches with barely a sound. The world itself seems to pause, as if giving space for heaven to draw near. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the inhale rise like warmth spreading through winter-chilled hands. Let the exhale fall long and smooth, softening the body from shoulders to toes. Let the breath steady you. Let it quiet you. Let it carry your heart deeper into this tender moment. Another slow breath. Unhurried. Peaceful. The traveler lowers their head a little more, not in defeat, but in surrender. A quiet surrender. The kind that comes when the heart finally admits its limits, when the soul allows itself to be honest, when the burden becomes too heavy to carry alone. A truth rises gently within the traveler. A truth they have known but rarely spoken. I cannot do this without you. The words form silently at first, then take shape in a trembling whisper, barely audible, but honest. And honesty is the soil where powerful prayer begins to grow. The room responds with a deep stillness. Not empty, but full. full of presence, full of expectancy, full of the quiet promise that God listens when a righteous heart speaks, even through weakness, even through tears, even through broken sentences whispered in the dark. In the listener's quiet room, the same soft truth may rise. A recognition that prayer is not about eloquence, not about perfect phrasing, not about strength, but about honesty, sincerity, a quiet turning of the heart toward the one who already knows, already cares, already draws near. Another slow breath. Let the inhale lift the chest gently. Let the exhale loosen the tightness around the ribs. Let there be space inside for the heart's truth. The traveler's fingers curl softly against the woven mat. Not in fear, but in release. Tears begin to slip quietly down their face. Not rushing, not overwhelming, but falling in slow, warm streams. Each tear a confession, each tear a release of something long carried, each tear a wordless prayer. As the tears fall, something in the atmosphere shifts. A softness gathers behind the traveler, a gentle warmth beginning to build at the edges of the room, like a quiet light rising behind the horizon. Not yet bright, but present, approaching, drawing near. The traveler senses it, a warmth brushing the back of the neck, a tenderness hovering just beyond touch, a deep, steady presence moving into the room, not rushing, not startling, but entering slowly, lovingly, as though responding directly to the traveler's honesty, as though prayer has opened a door, and heaven has stepped quietly across the threshold. In the listener's room, a similar warmth may begin to unfold. A soft pressure behind the heart, a gentle heat rising in the chest, a sense of something sacred quietly approaching. Prayer does this, not always with sound, but with presence, a nearness that fills the space when the heart invites God in. Another slow breath. Let the inhale move through the chest like warm water in a cool stream. Let the exhale soften the entire body deeper into rest. Feel the heart open wider. Feel the soul become receptive. The traveler lifts their face slightly, eyes closed, tears still slipping quietly onto the mat. And inside their heart rises another whisper, more fragile, more vulnerable, yet more powerful. I need you to hear me. The moment this truth forms, the warmth in the room deepens, the flame steadies, the air thickens with peace. Something unseen draws very near, as if heaven bends close to listen, as if the heart's cry has reached the ear of God. This is the ancient promise remembered in stillness, that the prayer of one who walks with honesty, humility, and desire for what is right, carries great power. Power not born from the strength of the voice, but from the sincerity of the soul. The traveler remains seated on the woven mat, head bowed slightly, tears slipping softly along the curve of the face, hands resting in quiet surrender upon the lap. The whispered confession, "I need you to hear me," still echoes in the small lamplit room, a trembling thread of truth stretching upward from the heart toward heaven, and heaven, in its gentle way, begins to answer not with sound, but with presence. A warmth gathers in the far corner of the room, faint at first, like the glow of a hidden ember, then slowly growing fuller, deeper, a soft radiance that is not seen with the eyes, but felt through the steady rhythm of the traveler's breath, a warmth that moves through the air like a quiet promise, as though God himself has taken one silent step closer. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the inhale rise through the chest like a soft current of evening air moving through open fields. Let the exhale fall long and loose, releasing strain from the shoulders. Feel the breath steady. Feel the mind soften. Feel the soul lean toward the warmth gathering around you. Another slow breath, calmer, gentler. The traveler lifts their face just a little, eyes still closed, but sensing the shift in the room with growing clarity. The air feels thicker now, softer, like a cloak of warmth being draped over tired shoulders, like gentle hands hovering near, not touching, yet unmistakably near. The presence draws closer with every quiet beat of the traveler's heart, not rushing, not startling, but entering the room with the same tenderness as dusk settles across a still valley. Slow, deliberate, peaceful. This is how God answers honest prayer, not always with speed, but always with nearness. The traveler's breath trembles, not from fear, but from the quiet awe of being met, being heard, being held, even before the words are fully spoken. In the listener's quiet bedroom, the same tender warmth may begin to rise, a soft heat blooming beneath the sternum, a gentle pressure behind the ribs, a sense that something holy is moving near, responding, listening, drawing close because the heart has become honest, because the soul has reached outward instead of folding inward. Another slow breath. Let the inhale gather warmth beneath the chest. Let the exhale loosen the last remnants of tension in the spine. Allow the heart to open wider, wider still. Back in the lamplit room, the traveler senses a stirring in their soul, a thought rising not from the mind, but from a deeper place, a recognition that it is time to speak the truth plainly, not to impress, not to perform, but to release. The traveler's lips part slowly, and a quiet whisper slips into the still air. "I cannot carry this anymore." The words tremble, weighted with exhaustion, but also with relief. For this is the honesty God receives with greatest tenderness, the moment a heart stops pretending to be strong on its own. As those words leave the traveler's mouth, the warmth in the room deepens instantly, a soft wave of heat, moving from the unseen corner, across the space, wrapping around the traveler like a gentle embrace. It is subtle, yet unmistakable, a presence that feels near enough to steady trembling hands, near enough to touch the edges of sorrow with compassion, near enough to gather every scattered piece of the traveler's spirit. Prayer becomes real in this moment, not because it is eloquent, but because it is honest, because it is surrendered, because it has opened the door for God to draw close. In the listener's room, a similar closeness may rise, a quiet sense of being met by warmth, of being surrounded by gentle nearness, of being invited to release burdens held too tightly for too long. Prayer becomes powerful when the heart stops guarding itself, when words flow not from fear, but from truth. Another slow breath. Let the inhale rise like hope. Let the exhale fall like release. Let the body sink deeper into rest. Let the soul soften into God's nearness. The traveler places both hands over the heart, not pressing, just holding, as though steadying a fragile place inside, as though finally admitting where it hurts. And as the hands rest there, the presence draws even closer, like warm air encircling the traveler, like unseen arms wrapping gently around them. This is the beginning of powerful prayer, not loud words, not impressive speeches, but a heart opened fully before God, a soul willing to be held, a quiet truth spoken from trembling lips. I cannot carry this anymore. And heaven, in its tenderness, whispers back in the stillness, you do not have to. The warmth in the room deepens, a soft, steady presence that feels almost like light without brightness, like someone kneeling quietly beside the traveler, close enough to steady their breath, close enough to feel the trembling in their chest, close enough to whisper comfort without words. Prayer has opened a door, and the one who listens has stepped through it, gently, tenderly, completely. The traveler draws a slow breath in, the chest rising softly beneath their hands, then releasing in a long, quiet exhale. The body loosens, the shoulders soften, the jaw unclenches. Something inside begins to let go, not because the burden is solved, but because the burden is no longer carried alone. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the inhale move like warm wind through an open window at dusk. Let the exhale fall like soft rain onto waiting soil. Feel the breath stretch deeper. Feel the body grow heavier. Feel the heart become willing to rest. Another slow breath, softer, steady. The traveler lifts their head with gentle hesitation, eyes still closed, but sensing the presence so near, a nearness that feels protective, patient, full of compassion. It is not a presence that demands words, only honesty, only openness, only the willingness to take the first step toward home. Within the traveler's heart rises a quiet understanding. Prayer is not simply speaking to God. Prayer is returning to God, walking back through long corridors of worry and doubt, to the one who has been waiting, with unwavering tenderness, to the one who knows the path the traveler has walked, to the one who has never once let them out of his sight. The traveler inhales again, the breath steadier this time, stronger, as though the nearness of God has filled a hollow place in the lungs. And with this breath comes the next truth rising from their soul. I need to come back to you. The words are not spoke aloud, but they are clear, heart-formed, soul-born, a quiet turning, a step taken inwardly toward the one who heals. And heaven receives it with tenderness. In the listener's quiet room, a similar turning may stir. The soft admission that the heart has wandered into worry, into self-reliance, into thoughts that run in circles until exhaustion sets in. And yet, God waits, with gentleness, with patience, with a heart that opens at the smallest inclination of return. Another slow breath. Let the inhale fill the chest with warmth. Let the exhale melt tension along the spine. Let the heart lean just a little closer to God. Back. In the lamplit room, the traveler slowly opens their eyes, only halfway, just enough to see the golden shimmer of the lamp dancing across the clay floor. The shadows no longer feel distant or cold. They feel softened, warm at the edges, as though touched by the presence that now fills the room. The traveler's gaze shifts toward the small window, where a sliver of moonlight slips through the narrow opening. Dust motes drift like floating embers in the glow, and for a moment, everything feels still. Everything feels covered, everything feels safe. The journey back to God is not always loud, not always dramatic. Sometimes it is as simple as sitting in a quiet room, breathing softly, whispering truth, letting the heart turn slightly toward the one who has never stopped loving, never stopped listening, never stopped waiting. The traveler places one hand on the mat, grounding themselves gently, feeling the cool weave beneath their fingers, and they speak with trembling honesty, just a whisper, I want to walk with you again. The words come out fragile, as though made of breath and longing, but they land in the room with quiet strength, because the desire for God is powerful, even in weakness, even in exhaustion, even in the smallest whisper of return. The warmth responds instantly, wrapping around the traveler more fully, a tender embrace, a reassurance that they are not met with judgment, not with disappointment, but with love, deep, unwavering, welcoming love in the listener's heart. A similar comfort may spread, a quiet reassurance that the steps toward God are never met with closed doors, never met with cold silence. They are met with warmth, with open arms, with a presence that draws near just as the heart turns. Another slow breath. Let the inhale fill the soul with lightness. Let the exhale surrender the strain of walking alone. Let the body sink deeper into rest. Let the heart settle into the truth that God meets the returning soul with gentleness. The traveler closes their eyes again, not in despair, but in peace, knowing the first step back has been taken, knowing that God has drawn near, knowing that prayer has become the path home. The warmth in the room deepens into something steadier, something that feels less like a drifting presence and more like a gentle nearness resting in the air. The kind of nearness that wraps quietly around the traveler's shoulders, settling into the space beside them like a companion who has arrived with calm purpose. Nothing loud, nothing abrupt, just a holy stillness, a presence that reassures the soul with its simple, undeniable closeness. The traveler keeps their eyes closed, not out of fear, but because the quiet around them feels sacred, feels like a place where opening the eyes might break the fragile beauty of the moment. Their hands rest loosely in their lap, their breath slower now, steadier, as though each inhale draws them deeper into peace, as though each exhale releases another layer of weight they did not know they were holding. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the inhale rise gently into the chest, warm as a lantern glowing in a quiet corner. Let the exhale fall in a long, soft stream, easing the body further into stillness. Feel the breath grow smooth, feel the heart soften, feel the mind drift into a quieter rhythm. Another slow breath, deeper, peaceful. The presence in the room settles even closer, a soft weight in the air, a warmth that seems to lean toward the traveler with quiet affection, not forcing, not pressing, simply being near, a nearness that comes only from a God who draws close to those who call on him with sincerity, a nearness that answers not with noise, but with comfort, with peace, with a love that steadies trembling hearts. The traveler feels it clearly now, a gentle pressure behind the sternum, a softness blooming beneath the ribs, like the beginning of a dawn rising in the chest, slow, steady, warm, not the kind of warmth that comes from fire, but the warmth of being understood, of being seen, of being met in the exact place of weakness, and not being pushed away. In the listener's quiet room, a similar nearness may begin to unfold, a feeling of being wrapped in calm, a warmth spreading through the ribcage, a soft pressure behind the heart, a sense that God is not far, not unreachable, not distant, but present, listening, leaning close in. Gentle love, another slow breath. Let the inhale gather light beneath the heart. Let the exhale release tension along the shoulders and arms. Allow the stillness to deepen. Allow the soul to open further, back on the woven mat. The traveler tilts their head slightly upward, as though lifting their face toward the nearness they can feel but not see. A tear slips down the cheek, not heavy, not sorrowful, but soft, filled with the quiet relief of being held by something greater than fear, the kind of relief that cannot be spoken, only felt, only breathed. The traveler whispers a gentle, trembling truth. I feel you here. The words leave their lips like a fragile thread of breath. Yet the moment they form, the warmth in the room responds with deeper tenderness, a soft, encompassing embrace, a nearness that seems to rest around the traveler like a warm shawl drawn over tired shoulders. This is what it means when Scripture says God draws near, not always with visions, not always with signs, but with presence, quiet, enough for the soul to rest in, strong enough for the heart to trust. In the listener's space, the same whisper may rise within, a soft recognition of God's closeness, a quiet awareness that the heart is not praying into empty air, but into the embrace of a Father who listens with compassion, who leans close when his children speak from honest need, who steadies trembling hearts with holy nearness. Another slow breath. Let the inhale glow like lamplight spreading through a small room. Let the exhale melt the last threads of scattered thought. Let the body sink deeper into the bed. Let the soul settle into calm. The traveler places one hand slowly over the other, a simple gesture, but filled with meaning, as though holding their own heart gently and offering it upward through prayer. Their breath flows in a slow, steady rhythm, matched by the quiet pulse of God's nearness enveloping the room. There is no fear here, no rush, no demand, only stillness, only closeness, only the quiet companionship of the one who hears every whisper, every sigh, every tear-born prayer. This is the stillness where God waits, where prayer deepens, where hearts find rest not in answers, but in His presence. The stillness in the room settles into an even deeper calm, a quiet so gentle it feels like soft fabric draped across the traveler's shoulders. Warm, steady, comforting. The presence that has drawn near does not move away, does not waver. It simply rests, hovering around the traveler with the tenderness of a protective embrace, a nearness so peaceful, so patient, that even the weary ache inside the traveler's chest begins to soften. The traveler breathes slowly, deeply, the inhale rising like a warm tide beneath the ribs, the exhale falling in a long release that loosens the knots of the day. Their shoulders drop, their jaw relaxes, the muscles behind their eyes loosen their grip. For the first time in many days, the traveler feels safe enough to let the soul soften fully, safe enough to let the burden settle into God's hands, safe enough to rest. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the inhale lift gently through the chest like warm light spreading across a quiet hillside. Let the exhale fall like dusk settling over the fields. Feel the breath steady. Feel the weight inside loosen. Feel the heart unfold gently. Another slow breath, softer, deeper. There is something sacred about this moment, the point where a weary soul stops resisting, stops tightening, stops fighting to stay composed, and simply lets go. The traveler's hands loosen further in their lap, fingers uncurling, palms opening slightly, as though releasing invisible stones long carried in silence. A soft whisper rises from the traveler's lips, barely a sound, more breath than word. I'm tired. The confession drifts into the warm air, frail, honest, a truth the traveler has held back for far too long. The moment it is spoken, the warmth in the room gathers closer, a tender wave of compassion, a nearness that feels like gentle hands resting around the traveler's back, supporting, steadying, understanding. The lamp flame wavers softly, not flickering from wind, but shifting as though stirred by the presence itself. Its glow deepens into a warmer gold, casting a gentle halo around the traveler, a picture of how God surrounds those who pour out their hearts before Him, not with judgment, not with distance, but with nearness thick enough to feel, tender enough to heal. In the listener's quiet room, a similar softening may unfold, the body sinking deeper into blankets, breath slowing, heart relaxing into the gentle realization that it is safe to be honest, safe to feel tired, safe to let God meet that weariness with compassion. For prayer is not for the strong, prayer is for the weary, the wounded, the burdened, the ones who come with trembling breath and open hearts. Another slow breath. Let the inhale move like warmth gathering beneath the bones. Let the exhale release the strain of pushing through the day. Let the soul soften into the truth that God meets tired hearts with tenderness. The traveler presses a palm lightly to the chest, feeling the slow thrum of their heartbeat, feeling how fragile and precious it is, feeling how long it has been since they let someone, let God, carry its heaviness. A tear slips down their cheek, then another, but these are softer tears, tears of release, tears that Loosen the deep ache beneath the ribs. The traveler whispers again, this time with trembling sorrow. I feel so worn. The words fall into the stillness like drops of warm rain onto thirsty soil, honest, vulnerable, and the presence answers not with sound, but with warmth that expands gently around the traveler, a holy embrace, a comfort that says in its own quiet way, you do not have to pretend to be strong with me. In the listener's heart, this truth may land softly, that God receives weariness with compassion, not disappointment, that he leans close when his children are exhausted, that he draws near when strength fails, that he listens when the only prayer left is a sigh, another slow breath. Let the inhale draw warmth deeper into the belly. Let the exhale melt the last rigid edges of the heart. Let the body sink heavier into the bed. Let the mind drift into deeper calm. The traveler curls slightly on the mat, drawn into themselves not in fear, but in surrender. Their breathing soft, slow, rhythmic. The warmth around them settling like a protective shelter, a quiet refuge for the weary, a sanctuary for the tired. This is the softening of the soul, the moment where the weight begins to lift, not because the problem is solved, but because God is near, near enough to hold, near enough to comfort, near enough to breathe peace into a heart worn thin. The warmth in the room gathers more deeply now, a gentle, steady presence that seems to breathe with the traveler, matching the rise and fall of each quiet inhale, holding the weary soul in a cocoon of tenderness. This nearness does not rush, does not overwhelm, it simply surrounds, like a soft tide moving in, filling the empty spaces with peace no words could ever form. The traveler lies curled slightly on the woven mat, one hand resting over the heart, the other relaxed beside them. Their breath moves, slowly, gently, with the fragile rhythm of someone beginning to release weight they've carried alone for too long. Not all at once, not dramatically, but breath by breath. With each soft exhale, something loosens inside. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the inhale drift into the chest like warm light passing through an open doorway. Let the exhale fall long, slow, dissolving tension along the spine and shoulders. Let each breath soften you. Let each breath steady you. Let each breath bring you closer to rest. Another slow breath, gentle, unhurried. Within the traveler's heart, prayer shifts quietly, no longer a plea formed from desperation, but something deeper, something more tender. Prayer becomes breath, a rhythm, a surrender that rises with each inhale and falls with each exhale. The traveler doesn't force words now, doesn't try to articulate every worry or need. Instead, they let their breathing become their prayer, soft, steady, honest, as if saying to God with every breath, here I am, here is my heart, here is everything I can't express. The presence in the room responds with profound quiet, a stillness so complete it feels holy, as though heaven has come near enough to feel the traveler's breath, near enough to rest within the quiet space of their surrender, near enough to wrap the heart in calm. In the listener's quiet room, something similar may unfold, a feeling that prayer doesn't always require words, that sometimes the deepest prayer is simply breathing in God's presence, breathing out the weight of the day, allowing the soul to rest. Without explanation, without pressure, without fear. Another slow breath. Let the inhale rise like soft dawn over a valley. Let the exhale melt into the bed beneath you. Let the breath carry you deeper into quiet trust. Back on the woven mat, the traveler's heart begins to unclench. The tightness that lived behind their ribs loosens. The ache that pressed against the chest softens into warmth. The mind grows quieter, thoughts drifting like leaves across still water, floating, slowing, settling. Prayer is becoming surrender, a gentle yielding of everything the traveler has tried to hold together alone. Fear loosens, worry thins, exhaustion becomes quiet rather than sharp, and in that softening, the traveler feels something new begin to stir, a sense of being comforted, being strengthened, being gently lifted from the inside, not by their own will, but by the presence holding them. A faint whisper rises from the traveler's lips, not a request, not a confession, just a fragile breath shaped into a single word. Thank you. The moment the whisper escapes, the warmth in the room deepens, a soft wave moving across the traveler's back, a tender embrace settling around their shoulders, a reassurance that heaven receives even the smallest gratitude with joy, that God feels near when the heart yields, when the soul stops striving, when every breath becomes trust. In the listener's heart, gratitude may rise as well, not loud, not forced, but soft, a quiet thankfulness for God's nearness, for His patience, for His willingness to draw close when the heart feels fragile. Another slow breath. Let the inhale fill the chest with warmth. Let the exhale release anything that still clings to fear. Let the breath become a gentle offering. The traveler's breathing grows even slower, almost like the peaceful rhythm of someone drifting towards sleep. Their body sinks deeper into the mat. Their face softens. Their lips part with quiet relief. The presence around them settles into a cradle-like stillness, holding them, supporting them, wrapping them in peace that sinks through skin and bone into the very core of their being. Prayer is now pure surrender, pure trust, pure closeness. The traveler is no longer reaching for God. God is holding the traveler, breath by breath, heartbeat by heartbeat, a gentle communion, a sacred resting. The room holds its breath in a gentle, sacred quiet, a stillness so deep it feels woven into the air itself. The warmth that surrounds the traveler no longer feels like something drifting in from afar. It feels settled now, rooted, as though the very atmosphere has reshaped itself around this moment of prayer. A tender nearness, a holy hush, a presence that has come not simply to listen, but to stay. The traveler's breathing has grown slow and rhythmic, soft inhales rising gently beneath their hand, long exhales releasing the last traces of tension from muscles and bone. Each breath seems to draw the presence nearer, as though heaven is closing the small distance between the weary heart and the one who loves it. Not with noise, not with spectacle, but with quiet certainty. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the inhale move through your chest like warm lamplight spreading into a darkened hallway. Let the exhale fall long and unbroken, softening your entire body into stillness. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw rest. Let your mind loosen its grip. Another slow breath. Slow, steady. The traveler sits gently upright, lifting their face as if drawn by an unseen light. Their eyes remain closed, but behind the eyelids there is a sense of illumination, a quiet awareness that they are not alone, not abandoned, not speaking into silence. The burden that once felt heavy behind the ribs now feels lighter, not gone, but carried, lifted by hands they cannot see, strength they cannot explain, peace they cannot manufacture on their own. A soft whisper rises from deep within the traveler. It is not shaped with effort. It comes naturally, born of the comfort they feel. You are here. The words drift into the warm air, and the presence responds not with sound, but with a closeness that settles like a soft cloak around the shoulders, a gentle embrace without weight, a nearness that feels like a door opening from the inside, a door the traveler did not even know was closed. In the listener's quiet room, something similar may stir. A sense that the heart itself is opening, softly, quietly, willingly, not because it must, but because comfort invites it, because God's nearness feels safe, feels warm, feels like something longed for but rarely spoken aloud. Another slow breath. Let the inhale fill the chest with soft heat. Let the exhale melt into the mattress beneath you. Feel the edges of your thoughts soften. Feel the body settle more deeply into rest. Back on the woven mat, the traveler's hands rest palm up now, a small gesture, but full of meaning, as though saying to God, "My heart is open, my walls are lowered, I am ready for you to move." and in response, a deep calm fills the room, a peace so thick it feels like velvet settling onto the skin. The lamp's glow softens into a warm halo. The shadows deepen but lose their harshness. Even the silence feels alive, breathing, holding, surrounding. The traveler senses something shifting within, a quiet unlocking, a gentle release of fears long stored in hidden places, a warm wave rolling through the chest, loosening what has been clenched, steadying what has been, trembling, bringing comfort to what has been aching. It is subtle, but undeniable. Something is healing. Something is breaking open in the best possible way. Something inside the traveler is being met by God in the deep places. Places no one else sees. Places the traveler rarely acknowledges. In the listener's heart, a similar unlocking may begin. A softening behind the ribs. A quiet lifting of heaviness. A warmth that feels like divine hands cupping the soul. This is what happens when the door of the heart opens from the inside, when prayer becomes surrender, when God's nearness is welcomed without resistance. Another slow breath. Let the inhale rise like hope gathering strength. Let the exhale fall like peace settling over the surface of still water. Feel the breath carry you deeper into calm, deeper into trust, deeper into God's presence. The traveler whispers again, just 3 words, soft, breath-shaped, vulnerable. Come closer, not a demand, not a plea born from fear, but a longing, a gentle desire to feel God. Not only near, but intimately close. Close enough to lift the heart. Close enough to heal what aches. Close enough to fill the quiet spaces with peace. The presence answers instantly. A warmth moves through the room like a slow tide, wrapping around the traveler, filling the air with gentle strength, resting against the traveler's back like unseen arms. Not heavy, but steady. A closeness that feels like love itself leaning in. This is the door that opens from the inside, the moment the soul invites God to dwell not just near, but within. The presence in the room deepens, not in intensity, but in closeness, a nearness so gentle it feels like soft light resting against the traveler's skin, a warmth that moves not from the outside in, but from the inside outward, as if the heart itself has become aware of being held. Heaven has leaned close, quietly, lovingly, responding to the traveler's whispered longing. Come closer. The traveler breathes in slowly, the inhale rising through the chest with new steadiness, the exhale falling in a long, unbroken ribbon of calm. A peace settles into the body, heavy, soothing, tender, like warm hands cupping a tired spirit, like a soft blanket wrapped around trembling shoulders. The traveler does not need to open their eyes to know. God is near, near enough to feel the warmth of every breath, near enough to fill the empty spaces with comfort, near enough to mend the quiet ache beneath the ribs. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the inhale rise like soft dawn light slipping across the horizon. Let the exhale fall, like a gentle breeze settling into evening stillness. Feel your body soften. Feel your thoughts slow. Feel your heart open wider. Another slow breath, unhurried, peaceful. The lamplight shimmers softly against the clay walls, its golden glow no longer flickering in isolation, but blending with the quiet radiance of God's nearness. The shadows around the room feel gentler now, less like empty spaces, more like resting places, safe, calm, warm. The traveler lifts their face slightly, eyes still closed, breath deepening with the awareness of divine presence all around. It feels as though a veil has been pulled back, as though a soft curtain separating earth from heaven has been drawn aside, and in its place stands a closeness that humbles the heart, a closeness that quiets fear, a closeness that whispers, I hear you, I am with you, I am near. This is the moment Scripture speaks of, when heaven bends close to the cry of an honest heart, when God listens not from afar, but from within the quiet space between breaths. The traveler feels it clearly now, a pressure of warmth resting just behind the sternum, a softness encircling the shoulders, a peace flowing down the spine like warm oil. This is divine nearness, gentle, profound, healing. In the listener's quiet room, a similar closeness may begin to unfold, a warmth blooming beneath the ribs, a sense of being surrounded by tender peace, a stillness that feels alive, holding, comforting, a reminder that when hearts pray from truth and humility, God does not remain distant. He draws near with compassion, with strength, with an intimacy that wraps gently around the soul. Another slow breath. Let the inhale gather warmth deeper into your chest. Let the exhale settle your body into the bed. Feel the breath move like prayer itself, soft, trusting, sincere. Back on the woven mat, the traveler's lips part slightly, a whisper forming before they even think to speak. It comes from instinct, from longing, from the quiet relief of knowing God is close enough to hear even unspoken words. They whisper, "I feel you." The words tremble, not in fear, but in awe, and the presence responds with a deepening calm, a steady warmth that rests across the traveler like a comforting embrace, a nearness that feels alive, protective, loving. The traveler's heart loosens even more, walls falling away like dust carried off by gentle wind, burdens shifting into hands unseen but deeply felt. The weary soul leans into the presence with quiet trust. Their next breath shivers, not from sorrow, but from the overwhelming peace of being held by God. In the listener's space, this same peace may rise quietly, like a soft tide reaching the shore of the heart, drawing near with tenderness, inviting the soul to rest, to breathe, to believe that prayer is not only heard, but cherished, answered with presence before it is answered with anything else. Another slow breath. Let the inhale open your chest gently. Let the exhale melt tension from your neck and shoulders. Allow your heart to lean into the presence drawing near. The traveler whispers again, a soft breath-shaped truth. Stay with me, and heaven answers, not with thunder, not with dramatic intervention, but with nearness, a closeness so full, so comforting, so deeply peaceful, that the traveler feels themselves sinking into it, held by love, strengthened by presence, resting beneath the gentle weight of God's nearness. This is the moment when heaven leans close to hear the honest heart, where prayer becomes communion, where presence becomes healing. The presence in the room settles even deeper, a soft, encompassing nearness that seems to cradle the traveler from every side. Warmth gathers at the base of the neck, a gentle pressure rests across the shoulders. The air thickens with tender calm, as though love itself has taken shape, filling the small lamplit room with quiet strength, with peace that feels alive, with comfort that seems to breathe alongside the traveler. The traveler draws a slow inhale, the breath lifting the chest with steady ease, then releases it in a long, trembling exhale, a release that feels like surrender, a letting go of weight long carried, a letting down of walls long held. Their hands rest open in their lap, palms turned upward, a posture of quiet receiving, a sign that the heart is no longer resisting, no longer guarding itself, but allowing God to come close, to hold, to heal. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the inhale move like warm light slipping gently through an open doorway. Let the exhale fall like a sigh of relief. After a long journey, let your breath soften your mind. Let it calm your body. Let it settle your soul. Another slow breath, peaceful, steady. The traveler's eyes remain closed, but behind the darkness of their eyelids, there is a glow, a gentle radiance not seen with sight, but felt with the heart, a shimmering warmth that seems to wrap around their spirit, a nearness that requires no words, only presence, only stillness, only rest. Prayer has shifted now, no longer shaped through request or confession, but through quiet communion. The traveler sits in the presence of God the way one sits beside a trusted friend, not speaking, not striving, simply being, allowing love to rest upon the weary places, allowing peace to move through the wounded spaces, allowing nearness to heal what words never could. A soft tear slips down the traveler's cheek, not from sorrow, but from relief, from the recognition of being known, being understood, being cherished by a presence so gentle, so patient, so near. This is the embrace that needs no words. The sacred moment when God holds the heart simply because it is open, and His love fills the quiet places with warmth. In the listener's quiet room, a similar tenderness may rise, a warmth gathering in the chest, a soft heaviness settling over the body, a sweet sense of being held without being touched, a comfort that sinks deeper with every breath, because God's nearness is not limited by walls, or distance, or silence. He meets the open heart wherever it rests, with tenderness, with strength, with peace that wraps gently around the soul. Another slow breath. Let the inhale gather warmth beneath your ribs. Let the exhale melt the last traces of tension. Let your body sink deeper into rest. Let your heart soften into peace. Back on the woven mat, the traveler leans slightly forward, as though drawn toward the presence, as though instinctually leaning into arms unseen but deeply felt. Their breath trembles softly, their chest expands with warmth, their spirit feels held, supported, surrounded by love that needs no explanation. No words are required, no prayers are spoken. The presence understands every unspoken ache, every hidden worry, every quiet longing tucked deep within the soul. God holds all of it, without judgment, without hurry, without asking the traveler to be stronger than they are. The traveler tilts their head gently toward the warmth, a gesture of trust, of acceptance, of surrender, and in return, the presence gathers even closer, like a sheltering wing, like a warm hand resting over the heart, like the soft embrace of a father who delights in comforting his child. In the listener's space, a similar closeness may begin to sink in, a feeling of being wrapped by a peace that is not self-made, a peace that rests on the body like a gentle blanket, a peace that holds the heart like tender hands, a peace that says, "You are safe, you are seen, you are loved." Another slow breath. Let the inhale lift slowly. Let the exhale fall like soft evening rain. Let the breath deepen your rest. Let the peace settle more fully. The traveler whispers not with words, but with their breath. A quiet sigh that carries gratitude, relief, surrender. The presence answers with silence, a silence filled with love, filled with healing, filled with the kind of peace that holds the soul like a warm embrace. This is the moment of quiet nearness, where God's presence wraps around the heart with tenderness deeper than speech, where prayer becomes communion, where the weary soul is held gently, lovingly, fully. The warmth in the room settles into an even deeper embrace, a steady, loving nearness that feels less like something surrounding the traveler, and more like something gently filling them from within, a slow, quiet glow expanding behind the ribs, softening the breath, loosening the places where sorrow used to cling. There is no rush, no urgency, only the calm patience of a God who heals with gentleness, with presence, with love that moves like warm light across a quiet horizon. The traveler's breathing deepens, not by effort, but by ease. Each inhale opens the chest just a little more. Each exhale releases a small tremor of weariness. Their shoulders drop further, their hands relax completely. Their body leans ever so slightly toward the warmth holding them, as though drawn by instinct to the one who comforts, the one who restores. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the inhale move through you like rising dawn over sleeping hills. Let the exhale fall like soft wind weaving through tall, quiet grass. Feel your chest soften. Feel your spine loosen. Feel your heart sink into stillness. Another slow breath, gentle, healing. Inside the traveler, something begins to shift, not loudly, not suddenly, but like a fragile thread loosening from a tight knot. A tension long held begins to unravel. The ache that sat behind the ribs begins to dissolve. The heaviness that once clouded the mind begins to lift. This is healing, not the dramatic kind, but the quiet kind, the kind that enters through surrender, through honesty, through nearness. A soft memory rises within the traveler, a moment from earlier in the week when their heart felt especially fragile, when discouragement wrapped thickly around their thoughts, when a single worry felt impossibly heavy. They had pushed it down then, buried it beneath responsibility. But now, in the presence of God, it rises without fear, gentle, tender, ready to be held. The traveler whispers, barely audible, "It hurt me." The words tremble as they leave the lips, a confession of the wound carried quietly beneath the surface. A wound God already knew, already saw, already ached to heal. And as the words fall into the warm air, the presence responds immediately, not with correction, not with dismissal, but with deeper nearness. A warm wave moves across the traveler's back, a soft pressure rests over the chest, and a sense of divine compassion fills the room like warm light. In the listener's quiet space, a similar tenderness may rise, a quiet recognition of wounds carried silently, of aches held beneath the surface where no one else could see, and the gentle assurance that God meets those hidden places with care, with understanding, with healing that sinks deeper than words could ever reach. Another slow breath. Let the inhale draw in comfort. Let the exhale release the ache held too long. Let the breath become a gentle balm for the heart. The traveler leans forward slightly, hands moving instinctively to cover the place that once held pain, but now holds warmth, peace, healing, and in that tender silence, God's nearness begins to mend what was torn, not through force, but through love, through the quiet power of presence, through the soft reassurance that the heart is not alone in its hurt. Tears slip down the traveler's face again, but these tears are different, not the sharp tears of breaking, but the warm tears of healing, of release, of knowing the wound is finally being touched by compassion, by love deeper than grief, by a presence that does not step back from pain, but leans closer to heal it. In the listener's heart, a similar relief may move gently through the chest, a loosening, a softening, a quiet knowledge that God heals not only what is spoken aloud, but what is held in silence, what is hidden behind steady faces and busy days, what aches quietly at night when the world has gone still. Another slow breath. Let the inhale lift hope. Let the exhale release sorrow. Let the healing presence of God settle deeper into the soul. The traveler whispers again, voice trembling with new freedom, "I didn't know how much it hurt until now." The presence presses closer, warmth expanding like sunlight breaking through morning fog, a deep, inward comfort resting upon the wound, a tenderness that says without words, "I know, I saw, I was with you, and I am healing you now." The traveler bows their head, not from shame, but from reverence, from overwhelming gratitude, from the quiet realization that God has entered the deepest part of their hurt, not to expose it, but to heal it, to lift it, to transform it into peace. This is healing in nearness, where unseen tears are met with divine compassion, where pain loosens beneath the warmth of God's presence, where the wounded heart begins to mend. The warmth in the room deepens into something steady, something sure, something that feels like a gentle hand resting over the traveler's heart, not pressing, not urging, just holding, letting the soul know that it is safe, that it is seen, that it is being healed slowly, tenderly, from the inside out. The traveler breathes in softly, and this time the breath rises without trembling, without that sharp ache that once hid beneath the ribs. A new lightness lifts the chest, a softening that feels both foreign and deeply familiar, as though the heart is remembering how to trust, how to open, how to believe again in the comfort of God's nearness. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the inhale move through you like warm morning light spreading across a quiet valley. Let the exhale fall like a gentle sigh through loosened shoulders, Feel your body relax. Feel your thoughts slow. Feel your heart become still. Another slow breath, calming, restorative. The traveler lifts a hand to the cheek, fingers brushing away a tear that has already cooled, then places that same hand over the heart, a gentle touch, a gesture of quiet acknowledgement. Something has changed, something is healing. Within the traveler's chest, a tender awareness begins to form, a realization not born of thought, but of presence, of feeling held, of feeling understood, of knowing that the wounds carried alone for so long are no longer theirs to bear in solitude. The traveler whispers, soft as a breath, "I didn't know it could feel this, gentle." The presence draws even nearer, warmth expanding in a slow, steady wave, a quiet reassurance that healing is not harsh, not rushed, not forced, but tender, patient, loving. This is the part of prayer where strength begins to return, not the kind that stands tall immediately, but the kind that rises from within, like a soft flame slowly brightening after a long night. In the listener's quiet room, a similar stirring may unfold, a tenderness blooming behind the ribs, a steady warmth replacing tension, a gentle sense that something within is being restored, not by effort, but by surrender, by presence, by allowing God to come close enough to heal. Another slow breath. Let the inhale gather hope. Let the exhale release the remnants of heaviness. Let your breath become a quiet act of trust. Back on the woven mat, the traveler shifts slightly, straightens the spine just a little, not with strain, but with ease, with the first quiet awakening of renewed strength. Their posture reflects a heart that no longer curls inward in self-protection, but lifts gently, open, receptive, resting in peace. The warmth in the room wraps around the traveler from behind, a tender pressure along the shoulders, a soft embrace around the back. It feels like being held, supported, gently lifted by a love that expects nothing in return, a love that gives freely, healing what was broken, softening what was hardened, restoring what had dimmed. The traveler inhales again, this time with more depth, more steadiness, as though the breath itself is being strengthened by God's nearness. And within that breath rises a quiet realization. I can trust again. The words form silently in the heart, not yet spoken aloud, but deeply true, a truth born from being held, being healed, being understood completely. It is the beginning of restored faith, of reawakened hope, of new strength quietly taking root. In the listener's heart, a similar truth may rise, a soft readiness to trust again, to lean into God's nearness, to believe in His comfort, not because problems have vanished, but because His presence has become unmistakably real, unmistakably close. Another slow breath. Let the inhale move like a gentle promise. Let the exhale settle like peace drifting across still water. Feel your heart soften into trust. Feel strength begin to return. The traveler finally whispers, soft, breath-shaped, "I want to believe again." And the presence responds with deeper warmth, a wave of love that settles over the traveler's shoulders, down the spine, into the heart, healing quietly, restoring gently, strengthening unseen places within. This is the quiet moment where faith begins to rebuild, not through force, not through certainty, but through love, through nearness, through healing that awakens trust from the inside out. The warmth in the room grows deeper, richer, not overwhelming, but steady, a gentle radiance that feels like an answer to the traveler's whispered longing. I want to believe again. The presence settles around them like a soft embrace, holding, supporting, surrounding, not telling them to be strong, but simply being their strength, filling the quiet places where faith once felt thin, breathing life back into hope that had grown tired. The traveler's breathing falls into a slow, peaceful rhythm. Inhale, soft and deep. Exhale, long and unbroken. Each breath seems to rest in the warmth surrounding them, as though inhaling divine comfort, and exhaling the remnants of fear. The body grows heavier in the best possible way, relaxed, grounded, held by something greater than their own strength. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the inhale rise through the chest like warm dawn light spreading across a calm sea. Let the exhale fall like dusk settling gently over open fields. Let your breath soften your heart. Let it quiet your thoughts. Let it carry you deeper into God's presence. Another slow breath, gentle, steady. Within the traveler, a new stillness begins to form, not the stillness of emptiness, but the stillness of being held, being known, being deeply, intimately connected to God in a way that words cannot describe. Their heart no longer feels fragile. It feels softened, open, resting in a warmth that pulses gently with each inhale, as though their own breath is beginning to sync with something holy, a divine rhythm, a quiet communion. The traveler tilts their head slightly upward, not in effort, but in longing, in trust, in the soft awareness that they are breathing not only in the air of the room, but the nearness of God Himself. Each inhale feels full, warm, alive. Each exhale feels like surrender, like release, like resting against something strong and tender. This is the communion of breath and presence, where the soul and God share a quiet rhythm, where prayer becomes less about words and more about simply being with Him in the listener's quiet room. The same gentle rhythm may begin to form, breath syncing with peace, breath syncing with calm, breath syncing with God's quiet nearness. Another slow breath. Let the inhale gather warmth beneath the ribs. Let the exhale release tension along the back of the neck. Let your breath become a soft conversation with God, a gentle dialogue without sound. Back on the woven mat, the traveler's posture shifts just a little, shoulders relaxing back, spine straightening with ease instead of effort, as though something within has strengthened, not through force, but through presence, through the tender power of being held long enough for trust to rise. Their hands move instinctively, one resting gently over the heart, the other settling just below the ribs, fingers feeling the slow rhythm of their own breath, the steady pulse beneath the surface, a living reminder that they are not alone in this moment, that every heartbeat is accompanied by divine presence, that every breath is shared with a God who draws near to heal, to comfort, to renew. A whisper forms inside the traveler, soft, reverent, almost like a prayer breathed rather than spoken. Stay close to me. The warmth responds instantly, a deeper wave of peace flowing from the unseen embrace, a quiet assurance that God is not going anywhere, that He delights in this closeness, that He holds the traveler not out of obligation, but out of love, out of desire for communion, for nearness, for relationship. In the listener's heart, a similar assurance might rise, that God is not far, not distant, not indifferent, but close, closer than breath, closer than thought, closer than every quiet ache beneath the surface. Another slow breath. Let the inhale fill you with soft warmth. Let the exhale settle you deeper into stillness. Let your soul rest in the calm of divine nearness. The traveler feels the presence wrap around them like a warm, glowing mantle, heavy enough to comfort, light enough to breathe beneath. It settles over their shoulders, along their back, across their heart, a physical sense of being held by a love that heals. Simply by being near, the traveler's entire being softens into that embrace, trusting it, resting in it, letting it seep into their bones, their breath, their spirit. This is the communion of breath and presence, where God and the traveler breathe in quiet harmony, where love becomes the air itself, where the soul rests in warmth deeper than words, where prayer transforms into peace. The warmth in the room settles into a deeper, quieter stillness, a presence not merely near, but wrapped around the traveler like a soft, protective covering. The kind that sinks gently into the bones, easing every hidden ache, soothing every restless corner of the heart. This is rest that comes not from sleep, but from being held, held by a presence that does not waver, does not loosen, does not step away. The traveler exhales slowly, a long, gentle breath that releases the final traces of strain from their chest. Their entire body softens, muscles easing, shoulders settling, hands resting without tension. The mind grows hushed, thoughts drifting like soft clouds across a quiet evening sky. There is nothing left to figure out, nothing left to cling to, only rest. Pure, calm, holy rest. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the inhale rise through your chest like warm light filling a still room. Let the exhale fall like dusk settling over quiet water. Feel the edges of your body soften. Feel your breath slow into a natural rhythm. Feel your heart sink deeper into peace. Another slow breath, softer, heavier. The room around the traveler grows dimmer, not darker, but softened, as though the lamplight has lowered itself to match the slow rhythm of rest filling the space. The shadows deepen into gentle shapes. The warm glow spreads wider, wrapping the room in tender quiet, a sanctuary of calm, a cradle of divine presence. The traveler curls slightly on the woven mat, not from fear, but from comfort, from safety, their body instinctively settling into a posture of rest, of surrender. Their breath moves like soft waves rolling onto a peaceful shore, slow, steady, soothing. Each inhale draws in warmth. Each exhale releases the weight of the day. A soft awareness rises within the traveler, a recognition that God is not just near, He is holding them, cradling their weary spirit with tenderness deeper than words. The warmth rests along their back, brushes gently against the side of their face, wraps lovingly around their shoulders. The embrace is unmistakable, a presence both strong and gentle, firm and tender. The traveler whispers in their heart, "You're holding me," and the presence responds with a quiet, expanding warmth, a peace that settles even deeper beneath the ribs, a calm that anchors itself inside their breath, their heartbeat, their very being. In the listener's quiet room, a similar rest may begin to unfold, a heaviness in the limbs that feels like comfort, a warmth along the spine that feels like protection, a soft, almost imperceptible sense of being held, not by blankets, not by the bed, but by presence, by nearness, by love. Another slow breath. Let the inhale lift softly like warm air rising from a quiet hearth. Let the exhale fall like snow settling on silent fields. Feel your body grow heavier. Feel your thoughts drift slower. Feel your heart ease into the arms of rest. Back on the mat, the traveler's mind drifts gently, not toward worries, not toward unfinished tasks, but toward peace, toward the quiet certainty that they are safe, that they are seen, that they are deeply loved in this moment of stillness. Their body yields fully to the warmth. Their breath grows even slower. Their heart beats softly beneath the gentle covering of divine presence. The healing continues, not through effort, but through rest, through surrender, through the simple act of letting God hold what they no longer need to carry. A quiet thought rises within them, a soft revelation blooming like a flower beneath the ribs. I don't have to be strong right now. The presence leans closer, holding them with even greater tenderness. A divine affirmation that strength is not demanded here, not required, not necessary in this holy quiet. For God's strength surrounds the traveler, sustains them, covers them, carries them. This is the soul resting against God's heart, where breath slows into peace, where burdens dissolve into warmth, where the weary find perfect rest in arms that never let go. The room seems to glow with a softer light now, as though the very air has taken on a warm, amber hue, gentle, muted, embracing. The presence that holds the traveler does not lessen, does not flicker. It rests over them like a quiet mantle of peace, a blanket woven from tenderness, from patience, from love deep enough to calm even the most restless heart. Outside the small window, evening has deepened into night. the sky a dark, velvety canopy sprinkled with faint starlight. A cool breeze drifts across the village, carrying the sweet scent of olive branches and distant fields. The world has fallen into a hush, a silence that feels almost sacred, as though creation itself is resting in the nearness of God. Inside the lamplit room, the traveler sinks deeper into the warmth, breath falling into a slow, peaceful rhythm. Inhale, soft and deep. Exhale, long and gentle. The presence holds them with quiet strength, a steady heartbeat of comfort that pulses through the room, filling every corner with serene stillness. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the inhale move like warm night air drifting across a moonlit valley. Let the exhale melt downward like soft light settling over sleeping fields. Allow your body to grow heavier. Allow your mind to drift into calm. Allow your heart to rest deeper in peace. Another slow breath, unhurried, soothing. The traveler opens their eyes only halfway, just enough to see the golden glow of the lamp flicker across the clay walls. The light seems softer now, as though it bows in reverence to the presence filling the room. The shadows dance gently, slow, delicate, creating a tapestry of warm shapes across the floor, all of it wrapped in stillness, all of it bathed in peace. The traveler tilts their head back slightly, a tiny motion, but one that reveals how safe they feel, how completely they trust the presence. Holding them, their eyelids flutter, their breath deepens, and their spirit leans quietly into the warmth, into the love that has drawn near. The love that does not pull away when sorrow is spoken. The love that does not tire of comforting the weary. A thought forms gently within the traveler, like a whisper rising from still waters. You're watching over me. The moment this truth rises, the presence seems to glow. Warmth spreads down the traveler's back, along their spine, across their shoulders. A reassurance so deep it brings tears to the corners of their eyes. Not tears of pain, but of gratitude, of relief, of being known and cared for with tenderness beyond understanding. In the listener's quiet room, a similar assurance may settle into the chest, a soft pressure behind the heart, a sense of being watched over, protected, held in the steady attention of a loving God. The kind of care that allows the body to relax, allows the mind to quiet, allows the soul to rest deeply. Another slow breath. Let the inhale gather warmth beneath the ribs. Let the exhale release the last remnants of tension. Let your body sink heavier. Let your thoughts drift slower. Let your heart nestle into peace. Back on the woven mat, the traveler's posture loosens further, their shoulders resting more fully against the mat, their head tilting gently to the side. The presence cradles them like a quiet shelter, soft, safe, steady. Love settled around them like a warm shawl, wrapping every inch of their weariness in calm. The lamplight seems to sway ever so slightly, not from breeze, but from the gentle rhythm of the traveler's breaths, each one slower, deeper, drawing them further into rest, further into peace, further into the comfort of God's nearness. A quiet realization blooms in the traveler's chest, a truth that feels warm and luminous. I'm not alone. I'm held. I'm safe. The night outside lies peacefully still, stars watching from above, fields resting beneath the cool breeze. Everything carries the same calm that fills the room, the same gentle assurance that God's presence watches over the world, watches over the traveler, watches over the listener now, holding each heart with infinite tenderness. This is the evening light that wraps the world in peace, the moment when heaven's calm settles softly over everything, quiet, deep, enduring. The quiet in the room deepens into something profound, a hush so complete it feels like the world itself has paused, not in fear, but in reverence, in gentle acknowledgement of the holy calm that now fills the space. The warmth surrounding the traveler becomes even steadier, a soft, enveloping nearness that rests across the body like a blanket of peace, covering the shoulders, settling along the spine, cradling the heart. A presence so tender it feels as though every burden has been lifted, every fear quieted, every worry dissolved into stillness. The traveler exhales slowly, a long, unbroken breath that melts into the mat beneath them. Their limbs grow heavier, softer, completely relaxed. Their mind drifts like a leaf upon calm water, floating, settling, surrendering. Nothing pulls at them now, nothing calls for their attention, only rest remains. A deep rest born from being held in the nearness of God. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the inhale rise like soft warmth filling a quiet room. Let the exhale fall like night wind drifting gently across sleeping fields. Feel your muscles loosen. Feel your mind settle. Feel your heart sink deeper into peace. Another slow breath, warm, heavy. The traveler's eyes remain half-lidded, vision soft and blurred, but enough to catch a glimpse of the lamp's golden glow. The flame burns low now, its gentle flicker casting slow-moving shadows across the room. But even the shadows feel restful, softened at the edges, cradled by light rather than divided by it. Everything in the room reflects the same deep stillness settling over the traveler's soul. The presence around them tightens just slightly, not constricting, but hugging, a subtle embrace that feels like invisible arms supporting the weight of their entire being. A quiet voice that does not speak aloud, but seems to whisper through warmth itself. Rest. Let it all go now. Let me carry what you cannot. In the listener's quiet room, a similar surrender may begin to unfold, a heaviness settling over the limbs, the spine relaxing deeper into the mattress, the breath slowing into a rhythm that signals deep rest, a warmth gathering beneath the ribs, softening the heart, reassuring the weary places that God is here, that God is holding, that God is carrying the weight that once felt unbearable. Another slow breath. Let the inhale open your chest with gentle warmth. Let the exhale release every last thread of strain. Let the breath guide you toward stillness, toward surrender, toward peace. Back on the woven mat, the traveler curls slightly to one side, a small instinctive motion, but filled with meaning, a posture of vulnerability, of trust, of resting fully in the presence that surrounds them. The warmth around them shifts, gathers, cradles them like gentle arms, holding without tightening, supporting without pressuring, loving without condition. A thought rises softly within the traveler, a whisper formed from the deepest part of the soul. I don't have to hold anything anymore. The presence responds instantly, a wave of warmth descending over them like soft, golden rain, a release so deep it feels like the heart is melting into peace. The breath escapes their lips in a trembling sigh, a sound not of sorrow, but of surrender, of letting go completely. The burdens that once pressed against their chest feel infinitely distant now, drifting like dust carried away on gentle wind. Concerns that once felt sharp now rest beside them like softened shadows, not gone entirely, but no longer heavy, no longer overwhelming, no longer theirs to hold alone. In the listener's heart, a similar surrender may rise, a release that happens not through effort, but through presence, a quiet untightening deep beneath the ribs, a softening of the places that once guarded themselves, a peaceful knowledge that God is carrying what you cannot. That rest is not earned, but given. Another slow breath. Let the inhale bring warmth to the very center of your chest. Let the exhale carry away any lingering heaviness. Let your whole being drift into the stillness enveloping you. The traveler's breathing becomes slow, soft, almost the rhythm of someone drifting into sleep. Their face rests peacefully against the woven mat, their body nestled in the warmth that holds them, their spirit finally calm, finally surrendered, finally resting in a presence that does not tire, does not falter, does not step back. This is the stillness that holds every burden, the moment when the soul stops carrying, stops striving, stops resisting, and simply rests in the arms of God. The night deepens gently around the small village, a velvet darkness stretching wide beneath a sky scattered with quiet stars, each one shimmering softly, each one glowing as though it knows the world below is resting, breathing, held in a peace that comes not from silence alone, but from presence, from nearness, from God watching over the night. Inside the lamplit room, the traveler lies curled on the woven mat, their breath slow, soft, steady, a peaceful rhythm that drifts through the space like a lullaby. The warmth holding them remains constant, a tender presence resting over their shoulders, along their back, around their heart, a gentle shelter that asks nothing, demands nothing, only offers comfort, only offers rest, only offers love. The lamp burns low now, its golden flame no longer bright, but warm, steady, a small heartbeat of light in the quiet room. The shadows it casts are soft and slow, moving in quiet waves across the floor, as though the flame breathes with the traveler's gentle exhale, as though the whole room has settled into a single rhythm, one of deep, unbroken peace. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the inhale rise like warm light spreading across a still landscape. Let the exhale fall like the soft hush of night settling over the world. Feel your body relax further. Feel your mind drift even softer. Feel your heart nestle into the calm around you. Another slow breath, heavy, peaceful. Outside the window, the night wind moves softly through the olive branches, a quiet whisper in the darkness. Even creation seems to honor this sacred rest, a rest watched over, protected, cradled by the steady presence that fills the room. The traveler opens their eyes just a sliver, barely enough to see the dim golden glow across the wall, then closes them again with ease, with trust, with a quiet knowledge that nothing is required of them here. Nothing is demanded, nothing is expected, only rest, only peace, only the gentle assurance that they are not alone in the night. A soft awareness rises inside their chest, a quiet realization that feels warm and luminous. You are watching over me, even now. The words lift gently through their heart, not spoken aloud, but felt, understood, and the presence answers by settling closer still, a warm weight across the traveler's shoulders, a safe pressure along their spine, a tender embrace that deepens the calm until it feels like the whole world has faded into peace. In the listener's quiet room, a similar peace may begin to settle, a soft heaviness in the limbs, a warm looseness behind the ribs, a gentle slowing of thought, as though God Himself has stepped near, watching over the room, watching over the night, watching over the heart ready for rest. Another slow breath. Let the inhale fill your chest with warmth. Let the exhale release the very last threads of wakeful tension. Let the breath guide you towards softness, towards stillness, towards sleep. The traveler's body grows even heavier, nestled in the warmth that holds them like a quiet shield. Their thoughts drift slowly, like faint ripples on still water, then drift apart, then settle into gentle silence. There is no worry here, no fear, no sense of being exposed or unprotected, only calm, only shelter, only the deep reassurance of being held through the night. The lamp's flame flickers once, twice, and then steadies, as though keeping watch too, as though standing guard beside the traveler while peace does its quiet work. A soft whisper rises within the traveler's spirit, a truth soaking gently through their bones. I can rest, because you stay awake. The presence answers with unmoving warmth, a holy stillness that fills the room, a quiet assurance that nothing will disturb this peace, nothing will break this rest, nothing will reach through the embrace surrounding the traveler. This is the quiet return to God's eternal presence, the moment where the soul understands that rest is safe, that sleep is watched over, that peace is not fragile, but strong, steady, enduring through the entire night. The night lies fully at rest now, a deep, velvety stillness covering the world like a soft blanket. Stars drift quietly across the sky, their faint glow shimmering over rooftops and olive branches. A cool breeze moves gently through the darkness, slow, unhurried, as though creation itself has settled into a peaceful sigh. Everything is calm, everything is quiet, everything is held inside the small lamplit room. The traveler rests in a state of pure stillness, breath slow and even, body relaxed into the woven mat, heart settled in warmth that feels deeper than sleep, deeper than silence, deeper than anything they have known in many long, weary days. The presence around them remains steady, a gentle embrace that does not loosen, a shelter that does not flicker, a love that sits beside them through the entire night. The lamp burns low now, its flame soft and golden, barely more than a glow, yet bright enough to paint the traveler's face with warm light. Shadows rest softly along the walls, round, smooth, gentle, as though even the darkness has been softened by the peace filling the room. Take a slow, deep breath. Let the inhale rise like warm dawn spreading through a quiet valley. Let the exhale fall like soft embers settling in a quiet hearth. Feel your body sink deeper. Feel your mind drift further. Feel your heart rest entirely in peace. Another slow breath. Slow, warm. The traveler's thoughts begin to dissolve into quiet light. Moments of the day lose their sharpness. Worries that once pressed heavily fade into dim, harmless echoes. Every corner of their mind fills with stillness, with warmth, with gentle calm. The presence that holds them remains steady, an anchor of peace, a breathing shelter, a watchful love that guards their rest. In this moment, the traveler feels a truth rise softly within, a truth as warm as the embrace surrounding them. I am not alone, I am cared for, I am deeply loved, and with that truth, something settles forever inside their heart. A quiet knowing that will remain even when morning comes, even when the lamp extinguishes, even when the world stirs again with tasks and movement. The nearness of God is not a moment, not a fleeting feeling, not something easily lost. It is a presence that remains, abides, walks beside the weary, holds the burdened, and watches lovingly over every breath. In the listener's quiet space, a similar truth may rest gently. Behind the ribs, a soft warmth, a peaceful heaviness, a sense of being seen, being held, being safe in the hands of God. This is the peace that comes when prayer becomes communion, when the heart surrenders to love, when the weary soul rests in the nearness that never leaves. Another slow breath. Let the inhale fill you with warmth and gratitude. Let the exhale carry you deeper towards sleep. Let your whole being drift into the soft cradle of rest. Back on the woven mat, the traveler curls softly into the warmth, a faint smile resting at the corner of their lips, their breath moving like a quiet lullaby. Peace has wrapped itself fully around them, holding them like gentle arms, watching over them like a devoted guardian. Their soul settles into that embrace, weightless, safe, completely at rest. The lamp flickers once more, then glows steadily, its flame keeping gentle vigil over the traveler. But even if it were to burn out, the presence would remain, the warmth would remain, the love would remain, for God does not leave when the light dims. He holds his children through the night, breath by breath, moment by moment, until morning comes with new mercies. A final whisper rises in the traveler's resting spirit, soft, peaceful, a quiet breath of gratitude. Thank you for staying with me. The presence presses close, warm, tender, unshakable, a divine embrace settling into the deepest part of the traveler's heart, a promise of peace that endures, a love that never fades, a rest that remains through the entire night. And the room grows even quieter, even softer, as the traveler drifts fully into sleep, cradled in God's nearness, wrapped in perfect peace, held by a love that watches through every moment of the night. Rest in peace now, rest in warmth, rest in the steady arms of God, for you are loved, you are seen, you are held.